birthday, belated.
Thank you. No intro today.
Hey, Brian, looking back at that Cardinals game, what is some of the stuff you guys are trying to clean up on the offensive line?
Obviously, we're focused on this week against the Cardinals. At this point in the week, we've already had 2 good practices, 2 good work days. We have another one tomorrow, but our focus is completely on Arizona and who we have this week. They're a really talented group. Got a lot of respect for them, but just elephant in the room, we got to clean up the penalties on the offensive line. I view myself as a leader in that group, and I'll take some responsibility in order to get us rolling and playing at a better level.
Mike Zimmer had talked about how you guys might see some similar defensive fronts in Arizona that you did see last week. How do you guys try to get on the same page and make sure you know who's getting who and all that kind of stuff this week?
Yeah, absolutely. We're prepared for multiple fronts from them. They bring in a lot of different ways. They're really talented front seven, and I think communication is going to be key. Being able to understand what the different looks they're going to be able to give us, and being prepared for all of them.
Does communication come down to, when you talk about people being on the same page, like what's the biggest factor that affects communication? Is it crowd noise? Is it stuff that happens in meetings that maybe doesn't translate right away to the field? What is it exactly?
That's a good question. I think a lot of it comes down to being able to take pictures or install drawings or anything that we learn in the classroom and translating them to the field, where we can see something on a screen and say, this is how we want to handle this particular front or structure, but it's different when you see it out on the field in person. You're only really seeing, I'm only really seeing the guy inside of me and outside of me, where if we're in the meeting room, I can see the whole entire defensive structure. So being able to take what we learn and install in the meeting room and apply it to practice and apply it to on-field situations, whether it's walkthrough or practice or staying after practice and doing extra. And then just all speaking the same language, being able to, everybody calling a certain front the same thing.
With, I don't know, with the penalties, does it kind of feel like something that was that glaring that there's like naturally going to be a positive regression that like you see like a number that high, double-digit figures for the offense, that it just like naturally won't be that way the next week just because of just how glaring and what an outlier that is for a unit that, Zim said in the preseason he never saw this from the offense.
Yeah, I hope it's an outlier. I hope we don't do that again. But at the same time, I don't think that's something that happens naturally. I think that's something we have to focus on during the week and make a concerted effort as a group to fix and address. And I think we've done a good job of that so far this week, and understanding, really taking a hard look at what happened and acknowledging it as to why this went wrong or why something wasn't right and fixing it, not just kind of glossing over it and hoping it doesn't happen again. Really getting to the root of what happened and addressing it and moving forward.
Isn't it also something that really just game time is, you just can't recreate until you're in it, right? So like this week will be just another layer to add to that to see how you make those changes in practice, right? Obviously.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, you can never simulate game speed. You can try everything you can, but then again, they're putting us in very tough situations in practice. And I think we've had 2 really good days so far, and hopefully we have another great day tomorrow. Good preparation tonight, and just kind of, you do everything you can, right? Like you empty the bucket every day, empty the clip. So just trying to prepare as best we can and try to get as close to what we're going to see on Sunday. But just like any game, you might see something unscouted. It might be a little louder than the crowd noise they can pump in at practice. The guy might be a little quicker off the edge, those kind of things. So just try to, go as hard as you can on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday to make Sunday easier.
When preparing for an opponent that's coming off a 5-sack game, do you just look at each one and say, well, this happened on this play, this happened on that play, we need to, and especially with the similarities of this offense and Tennessee's maybe, you just kind of have that on your radar?
Yeah, no doubt. We're going to know where 55's lined up on the field at all times. He's a heck of a player. I have a ton of respect for him. In my eyes, he's one of the elite guys in the league. He's been doing it for a long time. And so I have, nothing but respect for him. 99, JJ has been around, been there, done that for years. Nothing but respect for both of them. They got some big inside guys. Isaiah Simmons, they got guys all over the place. So, we're not taking them lightly. We understand the challenge ahead, and we're embracing it, and we're going to go put our best foot forward.
Yeah, not exactly a playoff by any means if Chandler's on the other end of the line, right? Because then JJ's probably on this end.
There's no place off in the NFL.
Just want
going back to the penalties, I mean, false starts are one thing. I know you said the coaching staff has been pumping up the volume in practice, something you did in training camp. But with holdings, like, how do you, it's so much different on game days. How do you really practice, like, just keeping your hands tighter and things with technique when it's going to look so different when Chandler Jones or J.J. Watt is trying to break through?
You know, that's a good question. I think just, once again, it goes back to putting ourselves in the toughest positions possible, and being aware of, you know, what could get an offensive line in trouble or get any particular player in trouble with, you know, loose hands or whatever you want to call it. So just, you know, practicing hard and paying attention to our details. You know, everything matters. Every rep in practice matters. Every rep in individual matters. Every rep after practice, whether it's keeping your hands tight or whatever it is, it all matters. And I think, you know, we have to be aware of that.
Let's go with Brian. So what's Phil Rauscher been like? As you guys kind of, you know, you got to know him here through training camp and stuff, but how does he respond to that kind of a game? And what's his kind of message been like this week?
You know, the sign of any good coach is I don't think they're going to completely change up, right? He's not going to all of a sudden not be loud and boisterous and not be himself, right? There's a reason he's a really good coach. There's a reason I have, you know, a ton of faith in him. There's a reason he's our coach, and he doesn't need to change who he is, and neither do we. So, you know, just, you know, everybody elevating their game. He's going to be on top of his details a little bit more, so am I. And we all understand the challenge that's ahead, and it's on each person's individual responsibility to raise the bar and raise the standard, and I think we feel that in the room.